Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to the Canyon. Welcome back to another installment of the Quickview series. Look how wizard sleeve my favorite hoodie has gone. Like, look, it's just, look at that. It's just a gray tube. Oh, it's also got a huge stain on the pocket. Oh, discount store Columbia hoodie. You're doing a big stain on the arm. You're doing a great job, guy. You're doing a great job. You know who's not doing a great job? Sometimes me, because I noticed that on the tire rack over here, there are tires that have been here for years. Still haven't tested them. Like, there's a Mandela effect going on in my own brain where I'm like, oh yeah, the grabber, I tested that. Oh, this, I tested that. Oh, the Pinseeker, yeah, I absolutely tested. No, they're not on the leaderboard. I have given tires away that I neglected to test and put on the leaderboard, or gave them away before I ever measured them to see what size they are. Let's do that right now before I forget to measure these. These are, in my recollection, the skinniest tire that there is. In a 1.9, I'm pretty sure this is the thinnest tire that there is. The Element Pinseeker is 115 millimeters tall, which is basically dead on 4.5 inches. For portals, I love a 4.5 inch tire. Our test vehicle is not portaled. The test vehicle is the vehicle that these tires came off of. They are 37 millimeters wide, 36.5, which is an inch and 3/8, right at an inch and 3/8. They're really skinny. My recollections of driving these are dim, as this gentleman is the test vehicle. He has been fitted with his day-to-day tire, which is a Canyon Trail on some Hot Storm wheels on Canyon Custom Mediums, which just look like this. So inside of this tire is this, a medium hair bun on a dual stage inner, just like that. Does not fill these outer edges. These are RTR compound Canyon Trails, which no longer exist. They have the most delicious feather you've ever seen, which is a big part. It takes about 2 years to get the old RTR compound Canyon Trails to look like that, which is why this gentleman can, in many instances, do things which would appear effortless. Inside of this tire is the single stage foam from Element that came with this tire. And that must be because, I shouldn't have set it down, this is like 43 millimeters wide, if memory serves. This whole tire is 36.5, which means if you take away the rubber, you need an insert about 30 millimeters wide, which is what, an inch and a quarter? Just under an inch and a quarter. You're not going to find a lot of inserts that size. Even an Endura silicone, it's the size of the tire. It's literally the size of the tire. It's actually a little bit wider. This is designed for a tire about 41, 42 millimeters wide, so it's not going to fit. There are no insert options for the Pinseeker. I have this recollection of the Pinseeker not being terrible, but also not being one that I'd be like, oh yeah, run that. And there's a decent amount of feather on it, and I don't feel like we've run these that many times. I can't recall. I also did not recall that I dropped wheel nut 4. Luckily we have a bin in a drawer specifically for wheel nut 4. The Element Pinseeker is a tire that, I mean, obviously, look how well they fit that. Yes, Baseline has this visage, whatever, something about that primer gray, something about his layout. Any tire that will fit under the fender looks pretty good. When you put a Tusk on them, you put a Canyon Trail. You could put some, it'd look all right. It'd look all right. He can look pretty. You run some pins, whatever you want. Something about the overall squareness of this body. Now, when I ran the RC 4-wheel drive Mickey Thompson Baja MTZs, the 2.2 Narrows, which were in the 40s, low 40s for width, it was problematic. And they were a 475, a little bit taller than these. It was problematic how skinny they were. Like, the biggest singular drawback of those tires was how skinny they were, followed by the fact that they were X2S3. Found out they made a normal Class 2 in X2SS, bought those. They are outstanding. The Pinseeker, I think, suffers from the same thing. And we're going to say, I'll say that right here inside right now before we go anywhere near a rock, which is, if this tire was not 36 millimeters wide, but 46 millimeters wide, I think that the destinies would be changed. Vehicles would be running these regularly because I think the compound and the tread pattern is nearly good enough. For an RTR tire, I think they would be in the conversation. But they're 36.5 millimeters wide, and even at 4.5 inches tall, the sidewall is prominent, and they will do this. That's not a lot of force. Wah, wah, wah. And once they go like that, well, unless there's been some real shift in the way gravity and other physical forces work, that is what I anticipate is going to happen. We'll find out. Standard Class 2 protocol. This is a Class 2 tire. This is him very close to how he came out of the box, just with a body that has seen all of it. I mean, we're wearing through the corners. You see how it's a little darker right there? Yeah, that's the shadows. You can see through the body. But you can't say Element does not make a durable body, and you can't say that those stickers aren't doing their absolute best, because we are trying to grind them completely off. Baseline works for a living. These are the tires he came with. I've forgotten what they are other than skinny. Let's go remember together. Pinseeker, they're so skinny. They won't give you angry black sand noises. They are very short. They sort of lack grip. Come on. Come on. Oh, no. We get a little bit of the hop. Like, they're trying. God bless them, they're trying. But, I mean, that's... We're heating them in. Oh, yeah. There we go. Yeah. The contact patch is so small. I truly think that there's that Baja MTZ thing happening here, which is they have the traction. The tread compound is not... The tire compound is not that bad. The tread layout is not that bad. There's not enough tire there to get it done. And to get them out to width, like, how would you do it? Like, the way they're laid out, you couldn't just stick two Pinseekers together. Then you're 60 millimeters wide and close to 70. And that's too wide. They have this maneuverability of them, and it's because there's basically the center of the tread lug is the Element logo, and that little teardrop, it kind of works. They definitely fall victim to that. I have traction, now I don't. Give them a little more throttle, and then, oh, there it is. That's what I wanted. Front tire right in between the boards. We can kind of climb out. There we go. But let's see, our blorp. There you go. Oh no! And the two board width. We we have many obstacles here. There we go. Perfect. They're what I call between the wheelbase. The Pinseeker is the only tire I know of that the top of Slick Rock is between the wheel track. You can literally fall in there. That's Pumpkin on the ground. There we go. This is definitely a what could have been. I think a 2.2 LP Pinseeker might be kind of amazing in this like 50 to 55-ish millimeter width, taller. The compound is not terrible. The what they've made though is kind of terrible. Is at least terrible adjacent. Let me see. We gotta try it. This side. We'll go for the shuttle. Around. Yeah, there is a PSI problem. When they look how they just look silly when I look at it from the back. It's like a golf cart has big wide tires on it because it drives on grass. It's like a utility cart with like little skinny utility tires on it. God bless them. They're trying, but they're so skinny. We never get that issue where we get like mired. They have enough drive to go. You have to use near constant steering inputs because the tire is so skinny. Even on a single stage, they don't take away too much steering accuracy. But there's a maneuverability or lack thereof. These tires do not behave. So a float tire, which I've mentioned a handful of occasions at most, runs this score where it's real super consistent in what it gets in scores. Like say if a tire's hitting like 9.4s, it'll pull 9.4s basically across the board. I don't think the Pinseeker is going to be a float tire. I also don't think it's too skinny to float. I also don't think that it's going to be above the line, as we would say. 93 on the spreadsheet is the do not go below line. See it right there? Do you see it? It wants it. It wants it. But they made an inexplicable tire. Now I'm getting worried to the point where like, there it is. Okay. So we immediately need to wrap and we need to see if we can do it again. Every time. And I neglected to mention at first position, we are in full-blown predator weather. About 46 degrees, right around just about between 70 and 80% relative humidity. Ground is dry, rocks are dry, tires are dry, but there's no dust. Like we can see, there's basically it doesn't kick anything up. We're a step away from hero dirt, but there's nothing to stick to the tire. Okay, we needed to come around again. Is it repeatable? 4.5 is a good tire for a portal. It's not remarkable for a straight axle. There we go. There we go. Hey, all right, okay. Okay, all right. That's an okay, all right. Oof, you are so out of shape. It is not a descender tire. When the weight transfers, it's almost as if at his weight, which is well sub 6 pounds, he's like just over 5.5. His weight is like pushing the limit of what those tires can handle PSI wise. There's not enough contact patch to spread out the forward drive. Oof. They really lack in positionability. Not just in terms of RTR tires, in terms of all tires. It is almost unique in its position of what could have been. Like, if they had just made this normal, make it look like that, but make the proportions normal. And I think we're having a different conversation. I don't think that these are dry rotting on tire racks and moldering away in shoeboxes and closets. There's a potential. This is a tire of wasted potential. The compound has sort of proven itself to be competent. There's a decent little slip there. They're not rolling, they're not sidewall rolling nearly as much as I thought they would. That low side guy is handling it right until he stops handling it. Okay, we'll try it again. Nope. The unpredictability. Above the unnecessary thinness, thin for no reason. Beyond that, it's the unpredictability. Like, 2 assaults of the side hill are never going to look the same because we're already at a completely different angle of attack here. You would think it would be able to handle that transition, load that weight over. But why it can't is, we need to do it. There we go. But why we can't is the tire, when loaded fairly evenly, is kind of at the limit of what it can handle. Once you get that load transfer, when it gets that little pocket to transfer over out of the side hill, it's putting over 80% of the vehicle's weight on the driver rear tire. Did you see it pop out? I almost didn't. I was kind of looking off in the distance, kind of popped out there. It's so much like that skinny MTZ that's skinny for no reason. Well, they called it narrow. Narrow for no reason. I'm calling them thin for no reason. It is a tire of wasted potential. Because it really does at times start to feel like manufacturers, and I don't want to single out Element. They're all doing it. Some to greater degrees, some to lesser. But they give off this feeling that they are proverbially rolling in their 6.4s with their mind on their money and their money on their mind. How much of a cost savings is it to mold a 36 millimeter wide tire versus a 46 millimeter wide tire? That's what, a third-ish thinner? Does it cost 1/3 less? If you have to make this is a technical term, cajillion of these tires, you would save 1/3 of an increment of that cajillion, right? Say it's half the cost to make them. So we're bottom line. We're shrinkflated. The compound and composition can work, but I cannot see. God, they might be the worst descending tire of all time. Well and truly, I can see no reason to make this tire other than a financial one. Look at that. Oh my God, we went to wheels. I didn't have to get up. On the tire test leaderboard, you will not find another 115 by 36. That's not a thing. It doesn't exist. We're moving in this direction where all the tires are getting skinnier. But all the manufacturers, save for Element, seem to, oh God, that was bad. That was bad. So bad. Seem to have caught on to the fact that narrower than around 40 millimeters, the performance drops off precipitously. Like it's not a curve. It's a line going down, and then it just goes straight. It goes perfectly vertical. It just follows the axis straight down. Performance falls into, no pun intended, it being the next stop on the test, oblivion. I think we're approaching halfway on the protocol. I don't think the Pinseeker is salvageable. I had anticipated a score. We are going to fall below. We're going to fall below that score. They are so unpredictable. They have a traction profile that is not desirable. And in those, what are becoming increasingly fleeting moments where I witness an amount of traction that I would deem minimally acceptable, it could have worked. We have fallen firmly into the 8s, and I don't see them doing something that brings it back up. They took the everything is getting more narrow mantra, and they went too far. We test a number of aspects here at Oblivion: positionability and ability to hold your angle on your line. We're testing all these things. The Pinseeker has effectively failed at all of them, unless we can stay here, get through here. But getting through there sort of unscathed took far too much work, and at best it will elevate a bad score to a slightly less bad score, or elevate a terrible score to a bad score. These little glimmers of hope, right here. Those little right there. Perfect. Pinseeker, I couldn't have said it better myself. For just as you think, mein Gott, it's got it. No, it reminds you it's 36 millimeters wide, and it just falls over onto its side. Oh, that hell. Get it? It's too skinny. All right, there's a rock. It's right at the driver front corner of the snoot, right there, right there. To execute the right-hander on this, you have to grab the top of it right there and then cut back. And we managed to do it in a really unsatisfying way. If you don't know precisely where to hit it, you're not going to do it. Then we go to what's called the soft side. Real slow, real slow. Best thing it's done all day, hands down. That was the best exhibition of forward drive that I have seen out of the Pinseeker. There must be something about the orientation of that it just managed to do it. That was honestly kind of impressive. It's the first impressive thing that the Pinseeker has done. Generally, in a tire test, the number of times I have to get up and right the vehicle, if that number is above, honestly, 2 or 3, that's not great. Get it? Yeah, and repeatable. Oh, okay. We got a passenger. Just a bee hanging out. He's just hanging out on the side of the rig there. Hey, what's up, bee? We're gonna go up these rocks, bee. You're coming with us. I don't want to roll over on that bee now. And he's still there. That wasn't too bad. That wasn't too bad. We're kind of rebounding back after the lack of positionability. We can kind of put it in here. There we go. What I'm telling you, what I'm seeing is a compound that could almost make it. Tread pattern that could almost make it. These would be a decent, like mid 94s type of tire. A decent OE tire. All right, all right, all right. Okay, that's pretty good. The little element logos. Oh, the bee flew away. So now we can roll them over and not worry about smashing a bee. We like bees. Again, it's bittersweet. Like, it's pretty good at this. We get that nice hold, but everything else. All right, solid. The concerning part is, yes, we can, I mean, how much effort is here? Not a lot. We do have a ton of steer angle that facilitates that, but the self-right wing with such ease is great, but the ease at which you can roll it over is concerning. There are many a tire that we have to fight to get it to roll over. There have been tires that are so reluctant to roll over that I have to go over and flip the rig over manually. That was a good whip. That's a good self-right. That's a good self-right. Maybe there's something to you being really super narrow that lends to self-righting. Did terribly on the previous three. Did reasonably okay that at this three. I think we're still ending below the line. I'll tell you right now that in general this tire will be terrible at mixed surface work because it's 36 millimeters wide and it's going to pierce rather than float. So if you get out onto anything, I mean, if it's sand, if the dirt gets loose at all, the first thing the tire is going to do is cut. Surface transition is going to be pretty good because I think Element Soft is just underutilized. Like, they haven't put it to do they make anything other than the pin? Is it just a bunch of different grabbers? Do we just have a bunch of different sizes of grabbers? They've never applied it to something that could shine. I think a Pinseeker the size of a grabber would have shown. Also, Element doesn't make a portaled rig. Yeah, I know they sell a rig with portals. Element doesn't make a portaled rig. Read between the lines there. So a 4.5 inch tire is a what? Class 1. Yes, there's a place for it. 4.5 is a portal size. Yeah, there's so much carve, which makes the turning circle on low grip seem pretty good, but it's honestly just wheel spin. They're so skinny, they're carving rather than floating. And when we get it, I wanted to try to get a spot where we're bound so it can just dig. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just, there it is. No, there's no way out of that now because we just keep digging. Yeah, perfect right there. Brought down by their own width for no reason. This tire makes me sad. All right, before we put 36 millimeters out onto a wet surface, which is right over here, which this tire at its height and the amount of pure forward drive it has can't really do this very well when it's dry. Easiest side. There we go. forward drive is not this tire's specialty. We're talking about a tire that the gap between lowest and highest recorded scores is 1.4 points. For those unaware, that's enormous. A good tire will generally have between 0.2 and 0 points of variation between highest and lowest score. The LP, the 2.2 LP J Concepts Tusk was 9.8 all the way down. 9.8 10 times. The Panther Cougar was 9.9 10 times. The best do everything well, are very consistent across the board. This tire is, if not the most inconsistent, one of the most inconsistent. I have a giant hole in the hose. I have to do this in a cut. I mean, you don't want any water to come out of the side of your hose, but a lot of water comes out of the side of that hose. It's going to be so much math to figure this out. Clearance issues aside, so I'm looking at what the tire manages to do. Like, we know the belly's just banging that rock right now. Watch the fall to notch. Bonk. If we can stay away from the notch. There you go. There you go. Whoosh. It does get even more skatey somehow. Well, I mean, it's wet. It's kind of like, this tire is writing its own summary. So in a merciful end to its day, the Element Pinseeker 1.9 finishes with a 90.6. There have previously only been one tire to score in the 90s. The fake Duratrax Approach scored a 90.9, and it is immediately above the... It is immediately, wait. 89.1. I'm sorry. 89. No. 90.9 fake Duratrax Approach. Just above that is the Tiger Dog Honor, which was pretty terrible. Good looking tire, did not do well. And then right above the Cross Velociraptor 2.2, which I want to say is from the Emo X2. Those were pretty bad. These definitely qualify as pretty bad. The difference between that group down there residing between 90 and 91, the difference between this tire and those tires is that this tire could have been. I feel like the compound here is better than the compound of the others. The tread is fine. I mean, I don't know if I've ever seen another instance where a manufacturer went to the point of branding the tread. They say ERC on the tread, and then the middle is the little, like, I think it's supposed to be a map point. The Element logo is like a map point with an E in the middle of it. It could have been, but as it is, 93 is the do not go below line. There's no point in trying to make this work. So let me see if we can hit it. Let me see if we can hit the points. No, you can't run these backwards. There's about a 5-minute video of it that I put up a year and a half ago that shows that they are actually somehow worse than this if you run them backwards. Oh, they would have been better if you'd put a better dual stage insert in it. They scored a 90. You can't dual stage your insert, your score out of a 90. You're not going to change the insert in a 90 and turn it into a 95. You're looking at, in most cases, about a point. A good tire that scores, let's say it scores a 95, you might be able to drive that to a 96 with a really properly matched insert. so we could get this thing into the mid 91s. It's still below 93, so there's no point. The Pinseeker is a skewer tire. They have been mounted on that set of Vanquish clones there for a long, long time. When I got the Enduro and I ran it for the first time, actually I usually call it a Senduro instead of Enduro Sendero, which is too hard to say. I thought that those would be his day-to-day tires, and it is all flooded back to me now why he's on canyon trails from day to day, because these are not very good. 36 millimeters wide is a recipe for failure. They took a cake and they mixed all the ingredients, and before they put it in the oven, they took a spatula and they just put one dog turd right in the middle of the cake. Perfectly baked cake. Look how good it looks. Wait for the surprise. So, don't be surprised. If you have Pinseekers, and I want to say the only places they come are RTR and the SEs. So it's a pretty small group that's going to have these, I think. Though now they're selling these things for $200. So if you get these for $200, just know, don't even bother to run the tires. I think they come on the little Element plastic beadlocks. Give them away. Throw them away. Don't bother. Buy a set of wheels and a set of tires and put them on your vehicle and enjoy your day. Life is too short to endure tires like the Pinseeker. This is the worst. That's the worst thing Element has made. That includes their frangible and sometimes self-disassembling ring and pinions. This is it. This is the bottom of the barrel. Let us hope that in this burgeoning era of shrinkflation, they don't somehow manage to make something worse. Now, let's see if he can back out of frame to close this without getting stuck on the sign and rolling over. Before he does that, I'd like to thank you all for being here today. Invite you to voice any questions, comments, or concerns in the comment section below. Tune in for whatever we have next. You know, you might like that one. You might have liked this one. I don't know. I'm not inside your head. Am I inside your head? I could be inside your head. So, in between now and when we meet again, please, one and all, do your very best to have a good one, everybody. We will see you again here in the canyon real soon. And can we do it? Only just barely.